Why do some kids get sick? How come some kids get better? And some don't. What is cancer? Why can't my little sister walk properly?
These are just some of the difficult questions the Children's Medical Research Institute is searching for the answers to.
What is haemophilia?
Every child born into the world deserves a fair go, free from crippling or deadly disease.
What is cystic fibrosis?
By searching for the answers to these questions, the CMRI hopes that one day no child or parent will have to endure these diseases ever again.
The death or the occurrence of a disabled child is an awful event. It really is. It has an enormously secondary impact on family and extended family and on society in general. Consider the impact of the death of a 75-year-old male compared to that of a 3-year-old child. So that's really why the Institute was set up in the first place, to feel that we could work towards a research program that would give kids an even break when they were born. Not all children get it.
There are 7 main research teams with over 100 scientists working on the fundamentals of human biology and development, from muscle disease, gene therapy and cancer, to cell communication and brain development. The CMRI is at the cutting edge of world-class research.
To be a scientist within the CMRI, it requires someone who is an intellectually curious and very committed individual, always questioning. Experiments that give an answer which raises 20 more questions is a good result.
So let's take a brief look at the work of 2 of CMRI's leading scientists. Genes are the tiny building blocks that make us who and what we are. They contain information that instructs our cells to carry out their job. The tiniest fault in a gene can have catastrophic effects on our health.
Well, every cell in the human body contains the equivalent of 200 telephone books worth of genetic information. And a single spelling error in just one word in one of those 200 telephone books is sufficient to cause a major genetic illness. And there are many examples of that type of genetic illness. Cystic fibrosis would be a good example. And the commonest error there is 3 letters missing from the instruction that tells the body how to make a protein that's normally present in the airway. And as a consequence, people with that condition have problems with their lungs, and a proportion also have problems with their pancreas.
So what if we could find and fix those faulty genes as early as possible in a child's life for a future free of disease? This is the challenge that Ian and his team are determined to address.
My group's interest is in the possibility of treating the genetic disease actually using genes as medicine. And perhaps if I could give an example of a condition where gene therapy has real potential, and that's a condition like haemophilia, which is a disease where the liver, or genes in the liver, are failing to instruct the cells how to make a clotting factor. So the idea would be if we could replace the faulty gene in the liver cells, then the liver would be able to carry out its normal function. And that would essentially be a cure for that disease.
This is more than theory for Dr. Alexander. As well as being a scientist at CMRI, he's a practicing doctor at the Children's Hospital at Westmead. So every day he experiences firsthand the physical and emotional impact living with a genetic disease can have on a child and their family.
One of the most frustrating elements of being a doctor, given the current state of genetic knowledge, is we can often know exactly why a child has a particular problem, right down to that spelling error that there in the genes. But unfortunately, for the vast majority of such conditions, there's nothing we can do, and that's immensely frustrating. And that's really what we're trying to address in the research that my team is involved in.
Dr. Roger Riddell heads up a team that's searching for the answer to one of the biggest questions of the 21st century.
Like many cancer research teams around the world, we're looking for some answers to cancer. What we're doing here is studying some changes which are found in lots of different types of cancers. Now, cancer is more than one disease. There are lots of different types of cancer, but there are some common threads. And it's those common threads that we're really interested in unravelling. Today's treatments can be life-saving, but they cause a lot of very unpleasant side effects. And in many cases, this limits the doses that can be used for treating the cancer. And this is because the current treatments are just not nearly as discriminating as we'd like them to be. They're very effective, radiotherapy and chemotherapy, at attacking cancer cells, but they also attack healthy cells as well.
The trouble is, cancer cells and healthy cells appear almost identical to most cancer treatments. The key to better treatments is in being able to tell them apart.
What we need to do is to understand the key differences between cancer cells and healthy cells so that we can develop medicines that target cancer cells and kill them and leave the healthy cells alone.
Cancer is a puzzle. We don't know how all the pieces fit together, and we don't even know what pieces are missing. But recently, Roger and his team at the CMRI achieved some world firsts in understanding a key part of the cancer puzzle.
There are two pathways that cancer cells use to achieve unlimited growth. And one of those two pathways was discovered here at CMRI. Since that time, we've been discovering a lot more about this pathway and developing the tools that we need to come up with the medicines that can block it.
Dr. Riddell and his team are part of a coordinated international effort to cure cancer. Every day, global knowledge about cancer is building, and there's global optimism too that a cure will eventually be possible.
Well, we really have to be successful. Just about everyone is touched by cancer in some way, in a family member or in their friends, and it's particularly tragic when a child is touched by cancer. So we really need to pour large amounts of resources and energy into this effort. Sitting on the sidelines, it really is not an option.
This vital groundbreaking research by Dr. Riddell, Dr. Alexander and others like them at the CMRI needs an enormous amount of ongoing financial support if they're to achieve their ambitious goals.
Well, the CMRI needs money. It needs financial resources because it buys the three essential ingredients for success: brilliant minds, time and resources. Without these, you can't do anything. The beauty of the Institute is that we are able to provide long-term resources for scientists to pursue long-term programs so that they can establish their goals and be safe and secure in the knowledge that they have those resources to pursue them to their end. They are not chasing short-term funding from source to source.
Less than half of the Institute's funding comes from government and private granting bodies, so the CMRI is very reliant on public donations.
Get behind Genes for Genes Day.
Genes for Genes Day is a high-profile national fundraising campaign held on the first Friday of August. It's been a fantastic success, raising millions of dollars for the CMRI every year. But the bulk of funding comes from smaller local fundraising efforts and individuals who give what they can through salary sacrifice, bequests and one-off donations. A team of regular volunteers also helps minimise administration costs, ensuring the maximum available funds are channelled to where they're needed most, here on the front line of medical research.
Why do some kids get sick? What is cancer? How can some kids get better?
There's no question that we will find answers to many of these questions. Humans are capable of achieving anything, given the time, focus and resources. It's a question of where society often sets their priorities in terms of supporting the activities of scientists.
What is cystic fibrosis? What is haemophilia?
I'm often asked about what the next 50 years hold, and I often refer to what's happened in the last 50 years. Polio, diphtheria, smallpox ravaged our society, and now we don't see it. All as a result of the introduction of antibiotics and immunisation. These have been major advances. There are major advances occurring all the time. We didn't have neonatal intensive care units, which saved very small babies up to 30 years ago. Everyone accepts them as part of the norm these days. Cures for cancer will be found. Cures for some of the inherited diseases, such as cystic fibrosis, will be found. The real issue is that we do need time, we do need the money, and we do need a lot of collaborative research with lots of different people building up the jigsaw which will help us achieve our ultimate goals.